Hey everybody, no day better than St. Patrick's Day to get started on a green Hellcat. It's Beefcake Racing. We're going to try to document everything we do on this 2023 Hellcat for you. You've already seen the drag pack. We talked the other day about the things we're going to be doing. We're going to start off with the Fore Innovations fuel system. Fore has been a staple with us here at Beefcake Racing for about 15 years. We use them on pretty much every build of ours, F-150s, Mustangs, Hellcats, Camaros, you name it. We pretty much run it. We offer a system. If they offer it, you can get it from us. We always take care of the guys, so definitely reach out to me or one of my sales guys if you look for a fuel system. But Drew's here today. He's going to start taking you through the install, what we're going to do on this, and his process. Give you guys some tips if you want to do this at home, or we got a lot of installation partners you can use as well. If you need help finding someone, always reach out to us as well. But we're going to show you what we do on our shop car right here.
Okay guys, so we got our FC3 controller right here. We're going to start off with mounting this and then building all of our wiring off of it. Thankfully they supply everything. The nice thing about this controller is it will control up to 3 pumps, but they're staged, so we can set it to where it just turns 1 pump on, and that one will run until the hob switch activates, or something else, like if you had like a Holly or an aftermarket ECU of some sort to command.
Pedal switch. There's all kinds of things that you guys can use to control these if you want to. Or you can run them all the time just by jumping a wire. Some guys want to run them all the time, but it's all personal choice. But you get so much flexibility with this kit.
Yeah, and the nice thing too is to stage it like that just to keep some heat out of the tank and out of the fuel system entirely. Just running 1 pump, it should be enough for normal driving. Then like a hob switch will activate it 4 or 3 psi, something like that, turn the other 2 on. And enough about that. We're just going to get into mounting this thing. We're going to be using a rivet nut tool. This one's like from Harbor Freight, and you can pretty much get these for pretty cheap. If you're doing installs on your own all the time, these things are a freaking lifesaver. This is one of the best tools I've ever bought. I already went ahead and marked it in the car. I used one of these pins right here just so I was able to reach through and actually get it, because I wouldn't have been able to do it.
With a big marker, yeah.
Yeah, with my big marker.
So if you look, he basically uses that small pin, and it can fit through the holes. That way you see exactly where you want to mount at, to where you can put your holes when you drill in there.
Another thing too, why we're choosing to mount it here, is we'll be able to actually put the controller in a safe location that's still, it's kind of hard to see with everything installed with the foam mat in the back for the spare tire kit, but it's still readily serviceable, which helps with a nice clean install. And it's not an eyesore. So now we're going to use a center punch, and then we're going to drill our holes. Perfect. Get back in there again. Just like to hit him 3 times.
And for those that don't know, what's the purpose of the center punch?
The purpose of the center punch is to make sure that our drill actually sits right where we want it to, because sometimes when you get them started, pressed against the surface, at any angle, the drill can kind of start to walk down or up. So this kind of gives it a pocket to like sit in and start the bit at. Starter bit.
We're not going to punch a hole in the gas tank or anything back there, are we?
No, gas tank's way far forward.
Punching holes in the gas tank is bad. Okay.
You're actually going inside of a frame rail, I believe, behind the diff. Things go easy when you're off camera, and then you look like an idiot when you're on camera. I always load one of these rivet nuts onto the gun, the rivet nut tool out there, and then I bring my other one with me, and then I slowly drill it until it slides in, because since I have enough of these, I'll use one as a demonstration purpose. Essentially, this is going to go into a close fit hole, and then when you push it against the hole, this flat lip, and compress this, you have now a new usable threaded hole wherever you desire. And it's just so convenient. like I said, this is my favorite tool that I own.
As always, it's always important to kill the battery power when you're working on a fuel system, right?
I went ahead and started to pull the battery out. This guy's a busy guy. He's getting called every 10 seconds. So, started yanking that out.
It's already got one of our rivets in there?
Yeah, I got one of them in there if you want to check. It's on the left-hand side. Nice little piece. Just finish yanking this battery out. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to work on our second hole over here to the right. Close. Now it goes in. Load up our tool real quick. And that's it. Damn, I'm good.
All right, so we got a perfect fitment there on our controller, which is really nice.
That's pretty much your starting point, and then so now we have an idea of where our controller is going to go, and now we've got to think about how we're going to plumb our wires. Thankfully, since the battery's in the back and we actually have a power distribution box back here and multiple ground sources, I'm going to use one of these wires here, and then I'm going to use the ground right there as well. Or I might use this one. I think that's the one I used last time I did one of these. We'll plumb the wires this way and try to trace them back. The ground to go this way, the power come this way. And then our pump controller wires will actually follow this harness, and then they'll make a left turn and go right to the pump, because how the system is set up factory is the pump's over here, but it actually feeds on the passenger side through a Venturi system. We actually cap that off and pull that old hat out, feed and return on the driver's side. So we're going to probably start getting to work on that soon.
The nice thing about the battery being in the back, normally the Mustangs, F-150s, Camaros, a lot of the cars where the battery's in the front, you're going to have to run this huge wire. You're either your 4 or 6 gauge, you're going to have to run a huge wire from the front all the way to the back of the car. But in this case, you don't have to do that because it's already there. Now the Mustangs, for example, we normally mount the controller over on the side by the door. We'll pull the seat panel off in the back seat back there. But again, here with all this right here, it just makes it nice and convenient on these Hellcats.
Get a nicer, straighter cut on there. These things, $50, lifesaver.
Now the FC3s come with a 4 gauge wire. If you order an FC2, it's going to come with a 6 gauge wire because it's only set for 2 pumps. I actually encourage a lot of the customers to do the FC3 or controller. Just that way, if you ever upgrade to a triple pump, you've got the wiring ran already, and you also have a thicker gauge wire that's going to hold the current a lot better anyway.
I take our wire when we first get it, and I cut it straight, and then I slowly trim it off to where it seats all the way in there, but all you see is that. So we've got a little bit more wire we need to show, and these are like the ones I have, and then there's some like big strippers, but I usually use these, and I just slowly work my way around just like that. Didn't strip cut any strands off, just perfectly. Flare it out a little bit. Perfect. Which one was it? Was it this one? Yep. Slowly.
And that's tighten the screw down on the cable.
Yep. Set our set screw down onto the cable. Doesn't need a whole lot. Give it just a little bit. Now we've got one done. We'll go in and we'll set up our wire where we want it. And we've got kind of like an idea of where we want to run our wire. Like here, you know, I'm not going to feed all of this through there just to run it behind this loop, but I know that's where I want it to go. So I'll give it a little bit of slack, run it through. And then I know that I want to easily slide right up into there. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of room for error. Better be safe than sorry. I'm going to give it a little cut right about there. So save this wire for a rainy day. Send you heat shrink pieces in your little lug. So we know we want to go there. Take this guy. Like I said, gave ourselves room for error, but if I can manipulate this dude, I can get it right where I want it, which is something sort of like that. And if I could get real fancy with it, do that and really hide it. And that's what we like around here. Doing shit right. So
Perfect.
Always cut it a little short because I like to try to mount it as flush as I can. Just, you don't have to, but for me, I like to try to make it as good as I can. So I want to give it a little bit more. We don't have a lot of engagement there that I would prefer. So give it a little bit more. Perfect. That's ideal right there. So, and before you you know, crimp your piece on, make sure to put your heat shrink on. I'm going to switch out to a different one. I just like the glue. I have some that has like, when you heat it up, glue expands out of it and it's kind of like a weather seal. So I prefer to use that. Same place, Harbor Freight. So looks like I need to get more. This stuff's kind of a little bit harder plastic too, but you can kind of see like if it's like smooth in there, there's a little coating of glue and it'll come out when I get it done. So a pair of pliers that I use for these bigger ones. I like to use these guys, but you know, so most of you doing this at home aren't gonna have like, and I don't have everything. I'm still young, so I'm still building up my toolbox. But most of you guys will probably have something like this from Walmart. I've had these since I was 15, so, and I won't get rid of them. But you can still use these. But like a set of these you can also get at AutoZone as well. It just helps you give it a little bit more bite on those bigger lugs. But I'll show you both just for reference, because most of you guys will probably have these, and you definitely, if you're looking this up, one second, won't have these crimps. These guys. So, and this is what you would technically use on here, is one of these jaws. So, but we're not going to do that since this is for you DIYers. You just hammer it. Got a lot more gripping force. So now it's not going anywhere. Got a nice good pinch in it. So that thing ain't coming out. And we did it in both directions. Dimple this way, dimple that way. We'll get our heat shrink. Do you have a heat gun? Mine died like a week ago. I brought my torch, but I don't like to use my torch if I don't. stayed on it for a bit, but I'm trying to let that glue come out that I talked about. It's kind of that little clear resin. You've got it on both sides here. You can kind of barely see it on the eyelet here, but that's always a good idea, just to make sure that it's sealed. But you know, this is an open-end piece. I always like to just take
Yeah, it's in the trunk,
time.
even though you're not getting weather technically. It's still, it'll be a colder area of the car.
Sometimes I even like to loom this power wire. It's inside the car. The factory one isn't even loomed.
Yeah.
On the factory ground location.
So basically the ground, it's just, just basically duplicating what we just did with the power wire, just shorter.
Thankfully, this one was already made too. They made this end, and then all I had to do was cut it and trim it.
Oh, nice. Fore already had an end on it?
Yeah, they already had an end on it. They usually do for the ground wire, and then they send you these 3 things on it. They give you an Allen bolt, a lock washer, and a lock nut. But
we don't need those.
We think we don't need it, so.
Since we got some factory location going on.
Yep. And then we can use their factory lock nut as well.
So, nice thing is, now you've got your wire in, your power wire it all fits under the factory battery box. And most of the wires tuck down along the side here underneath. You can't even see it.
Yeah, and then like when you've got the other piece in, like right now, this eventually, that's how it'll be finished. We'll have a couple zip ties here and trim them real nice, and that'll be it when it's done. But we've got to add a couple more wires. But like right there is kind of the layout of the idea we're trying to do. And I believe our fuel pump duty module is actually mounted back here on behind the wheel well. We'll have to have a signal wire that'll go into here, and we'll use it as our trigger source. We've got all of the main power wire stuff. We're starting on our trigger wire. We're using the power supply off of the fuel pump duty control module. Should basically act the same as stock. So that should be pretty helpful.
And when he says control wire, so we're going to control the main pump. We're going to run one pump all the time. The other 2 are going to go off boost. So when he says main wire, he's talking about the main trigger wire. You have to have something that's going to trigger the pumps off this FC3 controller box, because it has power, but you need to trigger the relay inside. And so that's going to come off the fuel pressure driver module.
This is pin A.
Pin A?
Yes.
And we're going to T into that? Or
yeah, we're going to T into that.
And that's going to be our main trigger. And then we're going to run, with the boost vacuum manifold we have over there, we're going to run at what we call a Hobbs switch. So I think it's 3 or 5 PSI. Yeah, the other 2 pumps are going to kick on basically, because this is a triple pump system. The other 2 pumps are going to kick on under boost. That way you're not generating so much heat in the tank and drawing all that amperage all the time. So we're going to use the Hobbs switch for the other 2 pumps, and we're going to use that relay for the main one. And we're basically going to take this boost vacuum manifold, and our Hobbs switch is actually going to go into one of these spots, and it'll feed out from here, the pressure switch, and it'll run back to pumps 2 and 3 as a trigger wire. So as soon as we get in any kind of boost, it's going to get a signal, and it's going to kick those other 2 pumps on. And again, the point of that is to generate just less heat in the tank, less amperage all the time, because when you got 3 285 pumps running all the time, it's really going to heat those pumps up and heat that fuel up in the system, and this will help keep that temperature down. So when if you're just cruising the highway, driving around, you're not generating any extra heat, and you're actually probably running less than what the stock system runs, which is really, really nice. So we'll have the boost vacuum for those 2 for the 2nd and 3rd pump there, and then we'll have the one running off the driver module, and then that's going to have everything working just like a stock system. The tuner will turn off any codes, branded DTP, so we won't have to worry about any codes coming out of the system for not being connected to the factory plug. All right, so we're doing a little modification to the Fore hat here.
All right, so we got our pump here. To put this pump in the actual tank, you actually have to separate it and take it apart. So I went ahead and did that. And normally when you get something from Fore, they come with these spade connectors here. And these plastic type of connectors that you get like at AutoZone or any parts store, they actually can cause a little bit of resistance in them. And a level sensor is a resistance based sensor. So in order to be a little bit redundant, I had these laying around, so I went ahead and pinned these, and I put one on each end. And then another thing for backup, plus I wanted to use my label maker, I labeled each pump connector, just so like if anything ever happens, we can actually narrow down which pump it is. And since this thing is literally a pain to take out, we'll know which one went bad before we do anything.
And again, none of this is anything you have to do. It's just being a little OCD and doing a little bit extra, which, you know, nothing wrong with doing anything like that.
First day, why not? So
what are we doing now?
I'm gonna knock that fuel hat out. Top ring on. All right, a little more.
All right, there we go. These rings are pretty tight on here, but they're made to stay in. You don't want these coming out because you have fuel going everywhere. And again, I'm not sure where we're at on the fuel level. I guess we're about to find out.
Ooh, right at it.
Pretty full.
Yeah, just right at it.
I thought I filled it up recently, so.
That's not too bad.
Literally right at the level. Wow. All right. Have fun with that. Well, we're moving right along with the project, but we've got a little bit of a stickler. Seems that our good friends at UPS, even though this is packaged really thick, you can see the crunch in the package. Somehow UPS, if you look here, perfectly placed some sort of a sharp object right into the box at a perfect angle to hit this corner and damage the blower, which really sucks. I mean, they put some really good packaging in here from Whipple. I don't blame it on them at all, but we've had this blower sitting here for literally months. Never pulled it out of the box, just we took the top off for a quick peek at it, but we'd already been sent pictures, so I knew the color, so I wanted to keep it protected. Went to pull it out last night, set up on the car to fit up the rails, and of course, we noticed that. So we're gonna ship it back to Whipple. They're gonna update it with the newest bearing plate that they have for these while they've got it, and send them some new powder from Prismatic. We're gonna get all that done today. Hopefully turn around quick, but looks like I'm going to end up getting talked into the camshafts after all, since we got a little downtime.